You can't discern if you're not praying. My name is Magnor. I'm a seminarian for the Archdiocese of Milwaukee, and I'm in my first year of theology. So God willing, in the year 2020, I'll be ordained a priest. I grew up in a Catholic family, one of 8, so a big Catholic Irish family. But from a young age, the priesthood really wasn't on my mind. That kind of came a lot later in college. So when I was a junior in college, I kind of thought I had my whole life figured out. I was 22, I had an awesome internship at a manufacturing company in Whitewater, and I was studying at Whitewater, University of Whitewater, Wisconsin. I was studying operations and supply chain management. So my hope was to get a degree and then jump into the business world, and then eventually get into business with my father. My father owns a manufacturing company. And then typical plan to get married, have a family, have children. But one day, my plan kind of got turned on its side. It was the summer of before my senior year of college, and I attended Mass, as usual. And the gospel message of the day was from the Gospel of Matthew 19, the story of the rich young man. And now I had heard this story many times in my life, but when I heard it that particular Sunday, I really felt that in a very special way I was identifying with the rich young man, and that Jesus was calling me to come and follow him, to abandon my plans, what I thought my life would be, to abandon that and to follow him more deeply. And initially I didn't first think about the priesthood. I thought maybe the Lord was just calling me to be a better disciple, to be a better Catholic. So I went on with my life. But as I was entering my senior year of college, I just had this sense that my life was headed in a direction that I didn't think the Lord was calling me to live out. And so one thing led to another, and I talked to my parish priest, kind of told him my situation, that I didn't feel like my life was headed where it should be. And he recommended that I go on this retreat, and it was a young adult retreat. And that's all he said. And he said he'd sign me up for it. And so I did. I went on this retreat, and I remember getting in the car from Whitewater and driving out, and the address was to a little place in St. Francis, Wisconsin. And as I was pulling in to the driveway, I read a sign that said St. Francis de Sales Seminary. So I'm like, okay. And long story short, the retreat ended up being a retreat for priestly discernment. And at the retreat, Duke and Altum retreat, I felt like the Lord was kind of inviting me to think about maybe considering the seminary as kind of the next step. So I talked with the vocation director, talked with Father Luke, and spent some time in discernment. And after a couple of months, I felt like the Lord was calling me to seminary. So I took the plunge, I applied, and right after I finished my senior year of college, I entered seminary, St. Francis de Sales. I did 2 years of pre-theology, and now I'm in my first year. I love playing guitar. I love listening to music. So I love like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's big. The Beatles. I like blues music. Eric Clapton, B.B. King. So I like to play guitar to kind of try my best to kind of cover some of those songs. I also really like coffee. I'm big into kind of exploring different types of coffee beans and different methods of brewing coffee, like pour over, French press. And then I like to read history books, so like World War II, World War I, Civil War stuff. So yeah, that's basically me. I also can weld. I know how to weld. So I know how to MIG weld if you're into the technical aspect of it. And I have a certificate from WCTC that says I know how to MIG weld. And so actually in college I spent a couple summers welding for my dad because I wanted to get into business with him. I kind of had some of the technical skills so I can still weld. So a piece of advice I would give to somebody who's discerning is that you don't have to have your vocation figured out to come to seminary. I in no way really was certain that the priesthood was for me, but I definitely sensed within me a longing and a desire to check the priesthood out. And it really wasn't until I spent time in seminary, until I had the structure to kind of discern in a more deep way the vocation to the priesthood, that I really became more confident that yes, this is in fact what God's calling me to do. So the seminary has kind of opened up that vocational calling for me. I had kind of had to take that jump and trust that God was going to provide for me, and that's just what the seminary has been about, that deepening in the confidence that God is calling me to the priesthood.